Jimmy Reed Booklet. So today I'm making a video. It was actually a requested video. I had someone in the comments who wanted to know what should they put on their resume to increase their chances of getting hired in the hospital. So these are just some of the suggestions that I have. The first one is to list any work related, any like healthcare, medical related experience you may have. If you volunteered or if you went to a school. So the student secretaries that we have that come around the hospitals, I made videos talking about student secretaries. So every semester we would get student secretaries who would come and learn and see what we do as secretaries. So I would train them just like I would train just anyone that was hired. I would train them the same way. And but they actually would just rotate. So they went to a school. It was a high school. It's a high school here that they will go to, and it's some kind of program that they have in the school that gets them ready. So if a student knows that they want to, like I had one who wanted to be a surgeon. I think it was a girl. She wanted to be a surgeon, and they have to work like they have to rotate like they in nursing school, like they doing clinicals, and they will rotate. So one semester they will work as a unit secretary to see what we do and things like that, and then the next semester they would work as a CNA. So they will help. They would work as a CNA. Now they wouldn't do everything, but they would do enough. They would wear scrubs and everything because the school wanted them to get that experience of being in a hospital and understanding and seeing what goes on in the hospital. So and they rotate to like the OR, things like that. Now they wouldn't work in there, but they would get to see stuff like that. So it was just to give them like a hands-on kind of sort of what to expect working in the hospital. And so that's what it was. And this was a high school. And then of course, it will go on to college and things like that. But anything healthcare related, I will put it on there. Whether you worked in a healthcare setting or you volunteered or coursework, things like that. You took a course because I guess that's, I don't know if that would be under like what those kids did, if that would be under um, coursework or education. I guess that would be under education because they were in high school. I will also put if you know medical terminology. Now you don't need to know everything, every word, but at least have, at least be familiar with medical terminology. That would be very helpful. One thing you're going to learn in the hospital is, or in the medical field in general, is that it has its own language. It's medical terminology. There is its own language. And so if you have any experience or any skills or anything that has to do with medical terminology, I will put that on there. Another thing is computer skills. I think that might be bigger than medical terminology if you have computer skills. So if you can type, if you can navigate the system, because the number one thing that you will be doing all day is looking at a computer and working the system. So if you are able to navigate that, which if you're younger, it may be easier for you. Then that will be good. Multiple, working different systems at the same time, um, navigating the system. Just if you can follow, if you can comprehend different systems, you'll be fine. So if you have any of that experience, I would strongly recommend that you put that on there. And then if you got like typing skills, how fast you type, things like that. I just realized my microphone is way over here. Hold on just a second. I'm looking at it and I'm like, not even realizing. Okay, there we go. A little closer. So anything, any computer skills you may have, and then any computer skills that you may not use. So like, though we don't use Salesforce, I know Salesforce. Like, what you gonna use Salesforce in the hospital for? I mean, it's a CRM, but like, what are you gonna use it for in the hospital? But I still put that on my resume. That is there. Of course, Microsoft and PowerPoint and all that good stuff. That's all on there. But I would put that on there. Also, if you speak another language, depending on where you live, that could be a plus. So if you spoke English and Spanish here, down here, I guarantee you would get hired fast. Same thing if you spoke Creole, you would get hired. So if you know another language, I would put that on there. And cause like I have it on my resume, cause I know Spanish. Don't tell nobody that, but I do know Spanish. And so that is on my resume. But you know, I play it down, but I do know it. And then if you know anyone who works now you wouldn't necessarily put this on your resume. You would put this on the application. But if you know anyone who works at that facility, if you know someone that works at that facility, I would put them down because they will ask you that on the application. Do you know anyone that works here, or are you related to anyone that works here? Things like that, because they want to know if there could be a potential conflict of interest, as well as referral. If there's a referral bonus. So like when I started at the hospital, my mom was working there because my mom's a nurse, and we actually were on the same floor. But my mom was a travel nurse. She was a travel nurse, and then I came on as an employee. And so they, I, I want to say they did ask, but I probably, I don't know what I put. I don't know if I put yes or no, but it probably wasn't an issue because she was a traveler and not an employee. I'm pretty sure I put her down. And so we worked. I worked the day shift. She worked the night shift. So we would pass each other on those days that we worked. We would pass each other, and like she literally wanted to talk to me, like, because I'm at the nursing station. Here she come. I'm like, and I'm trying not to call her mama, like mom. Like I'm trying not to say that because I don't want these people to know that's my mama, But and then eventually she left and she went elsewhere. But yeah, there was a point when we worked on the same floor, so they want to see, if that's there, see if it's a conflict of interest. But then also as far as referral bonuses. Now, sometimes, because like, and the reason I'm telling you that is because a lot of people in the medical field work at multiple hospitals, especially down here, because the need is great. So you can work at one hospital and then you can work at another hospital. You work 3 days at one, 3 days at another. Like there are people who do it. It's nothing. Some people, like one of the respiratory therapists in ICU, he worked every Monday. He worked at the other hospital. He worked at the other hospital, and then he worked his 3 days at our hospital. And then, like one of the nurses in ICU, she worked 3 days in the ICU, and then she worked 3 days at another hospital in ICU because she was there. She was at that hospital first, and then I don't know why. What was the reason? I think because they bought a house or built a house up here. But the other hospital she been at, she started there as a transporter when she was in nursing school. She was a transporter, and her husband still works there. I think he worked in HR or something like that. And but she been there at least 30 years. Starting in transport when she was going to nursing school. So she been there 30 years and only. Well, you know what? She when they opened up the ICU, that's when she came. So she's always been at the other one, and then she worked her 3 days at the ICU. Yeah, when they opened up the hospital. So the hospital been 10, so it's probably like 14 years now. So she's been like 30 years at one and like 14 at the other. Just doing her 6 days. And so you'd be surprised how many people work at other hospitals. So if you know someone who work at the hospital, put that on there. because that can help you. And then that's all, that's all I have. Yeah, that's all I have. Just those. So mainly if you got any previous work experience. And I made a video a while ago. One was like what to put on a resume, and I think that's where this comment came from. And then another video is why is it so hard to get a job as a secretary. And one of the things I put, sometimes you gotta come in the back way, and I listed ways to get a job in the hospital and come in the back way. Sometimes you might have to come in, doing something else, and then apply and get the job. Like I said, one of my friends, she was a housekeeper and she became a secretary, and then from there she moved on up. People all the time CNAs, and then they move up, they they move on. And so sometimes you may have to go a different way. Sometimes, like I know a guy, he was a transporter. He was a secretary at the nursing home right next to us, and then he tried to get a job at the hospital, but they didn't have any secretary positions. I'm like, how you don't have any secretary position, and y'all pulling me to work on other floors because you ain't got no secretary. Like, what are you talking about? But he took the job as a transporter. But then, of course, he had to wait 6 months before he could apply to transfer. And so sometimes you might have to come in that way, and that's why I say when I say the back door. And then you have people who might work at a temp agency, and get experience that way. That's how I got in. I made a video talking about that. That's how I got in. I went in through a temp agency. That's how I learned medical terminology. I could have did medical billing. I chose not to, but I could have. And so there are ways you can get in. You can get the experience. There are ways you can do that if you don't have any experience. There are ways you can get the experience, or you can come in the back way. But I think the biggest thing is just having computer skills. I think that's the biggest, because that's what you will be doing all day. You will be in front of that computer and answering the phones and dealing with the charts and inputting orders and things like that. That is the biggest thing. So if you have any computer skills, that's what I will put on there. Any software that you know how to use, I will put that on there. Like I said, what would you use Salesforce for in the hospital? But I know how to use it. Okay, I know how to use it. I can get on Salesforce and work that thing like ain't nobody business. I can find anything you looking for, and like what I'm saying. So even though that may not um, come into play for you as far as a secretary, it could be for something else. They may see that experience and offer another job to you. You never know. So any computer skills that you have, typing skills not really that big of a deal. I'm not saying that you must not know how to type. You need to know how to type, but it's not a big deal like it was when I first started. They wanted to know how fast you can type. It's not that big of a deal. I think the computer skills in general and navigating and things like that, I think that's more important. Medical terminology is it's important, but I don't think it's there. I don't get the vibe that you must know that in order to get hired. And of course, if you know anybody, try to get that hook up. But that's all I got for you. If anyone watching got any additional suggestions, you can put them in the comments below. That's all I can come up with. But if you got anything else, put it in the comments below for them. And you can follow me on my blog. It's Jamie Reed Bookless. That's where I talk about being a unit secretary. And I will talk to you later. Bye.